All right, dude. Well, we'll just get started right away. I was actually curious. So, on the ride over here, we're actually talking about sales and how a lot of people knew you as like a sales guy. How did you get the name Hardcore Closer? Like, where did that come from?
Yeah, that's probably the mistaken branding I made, to be honest with you. I think when anybody decides they're going to start coaching or teaching or whatever, I think a lot of us, the first thing is, I can teach somebody sales because that's how I got started, right? And then you got kind of pick your lane from there. I think Cardone did that, Jordan Belfort did it, and back when I started doing this, like social media was kind of a thing, but wasn't mainstream yet, and so I decided to show people. It's kind of a long story, but it's a good one.
Let's hear it.
So I went to federal prison in 2005 for possession of a firearm by felon. It's a whole long story. It should have never happened. I beat the state case, then the ATF picked it up, and it's not even a crime today. Like it's a weird snafu thing. But anyway, I got to go do 15 months. Wow. And I go do 15 months in federal prison. I walk in a millionaire. I walk out with nothing. I walk in a millionaire that's married, and I walked out of there 15 months later, a broke-ass dude that's divorced. My wife took my money and left me for the guy that mowed the yards on the rent houses that I had.
Wow.
And so I got out of prison. I felt like a loser, I lost, one time in my life I had a little money, I lost it. Had a good relationship and a marriage, and I lost it.
How old were you at this time, by the way?
28.
Okay.
Somewhere around there. It's 2008, so yeah, about 28, 29. And I get out, my little sister, she's 10 years younger than me, she says, have you heard of Facebook? This is 2008. And I'm like, no, what is it? She goes, well, she's going to A&M at the time, Texas A&M. So she's like, it's what everybody's on. You should get on it. Well, I logged in, and the first thing that popped up in friend suggestions was like my ex-wife.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, I'm thinking if I can see that she has a profile, she can probably see that I have one. So a few, weeks, a month later, I get a job. A month or two later, I'm top producer at that job. And I'm posting on Facebook, hey, got my another top producer plaque, hey, put up 15 million this month, all the shit that I was doing, thinking she might see it and want to come back. Yep. Not that I wanted her back, but I just wanted to be able to say no. I wanted to be the, you know what I'm saying? I want to be the one that called the shots. But because of that, people that I was connected with on social media started hitting me up saying, hey, can you do my mortgage? Hey, I'm trying to buy a house. Can you do mine? And it clicked for me. It's like, wow, you can get leads. Like, I'm really making probably $10,000 a month in commissions alone just from Facebook.
Yep.
So 2010, government once again intervenes in my life, and they passed something called the Dodd-Frank Act. And part of that said if you're a felon, you can't have a financial license for 7 years. Well, I was still on probation at the time, so there went my career. So
did you choose that, or did somebody tell you hey, you're gonna lose it, or you're not even allowed to practice, or
how the government fucking told me
they pulled it.
They pulled it.
Oh
they said I had a state. So what happened is you had state licenses. So I had a license in the state of Texas.
Okay. And
then they changed it in 2010 to federal licensing, and the feds wouldn't give me one, and the state of Texas was no good anymore.
Wow.
So, they offered me, hey, you can stay and we'll work some stuff out. I'm like, yeah, but if we get caught, you're going to point the finger at me and I'm going to go right back to the whole reason that I'm here in the first place. Like, I got to figure something out.
Yep.
So at that time, they were alive, but they weren't social media guys yet, like Gary Vee or Grant or Tony Robbins. They were all alive and doing their seminars and stuff, but they weren't on social media. Matter of fact, there's a video with me and Cardone in 2014 where I'm telling him he needs to get on social media and do more, and he's like, I don't even understand that stuff. It's on my YouTube, right? But in 2010, I start teaching loan officers, which is what I was. They say those who can't coach. Well, I couldn't. So I'm like one of those great examples. Well, I couldn't, so I started coaching people. And I would coach them not on sales, but I was coaching them on how to get leads from social media, right? And so one day I hadn't got a name for this or anything, and I got one client at this point. My friend Dustin Black was the first person. But I remember my first 3 clients. My friend Dustin Black, who's now a country music star.
Let's go.
He and a multimillionaire from owning a business, and he paid me to run his social media to get him ads, get him leads. And one day I'm sitting at this title company, and I thought it would be a big flex if I said that I bought a house for cash, right? This is 2010, bro. Like this, nobody was saying it. But so I went on social media and I said, I bought this house for cash today. I told you, man, I was broke. I didn't really have that much money. And now I've been out of a job trying to train people with one client. So you can put the financial picture here together. I bought a house for $1,000 at the tax sale in Mansfield, Ohio, okay, next to a prison. Okay, I only know all this because I Googled the shit, right? But the world doesn't know that. They just see a paid off deed like a pink slip to a car, right? So I go to close on this $1,000 house, right, at the title company, and which, by the way, biggest return on investment I've ever made. I sold that thing for $32,000 6 months later.
Let's go. Yep.
So, something you'll never get 32 times what you pay for anything. That's like crypto money or some shit, right? So, but anyway, I go to this title company, and there's an old lady there, like at every title company, that's signing the papers with you, Well, she hands me her card, and her card says closer on it. Now, I'm from the mortgage industry, so a closer's like a productive salesperson that's closing loans and I'm like, oh, these old blue hair ladies, they're the real closers, man. They're like, I have a few beers in me. I'm like, man, I'm telling my buddy, I'm like, they're like hardcore closers. And I was like, wait, I like that. So I went to the internet and to GoDaddy, and I registered hardcore closer. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do with that, but that sounds cool, right? So I start uploading videos of my clients on there. So if you become a client, then I do videos of like you teaching tips and tricks to realtors so that they've got a place to start showing their people. Again, this is when YouTube videos were a minute long, and I mean, not the environment we're in today, right? Yeah. And about 6 months into that, I'm at a bar one night, and my friend that took me to the bar, he's a gay dude. Okay, it's an important part of the story. So I don't know if it's a gay bar or not. I don't really care. You know what I'm saying? I'm just there to drink. I'm not there to mingle. So like whatever. But I don't know if it's a gay bar or not. But my friend, he's definitely gay, right? Like he got a boyfriend gay, but he was a real high producing real estate agent. So he was also a client of mine, right? So take him to the bar, and this dude walks up to me and taps me on the shoulder. I'm like, it's fucking definitely a gay bar. Like definitely a gay bar. All right, what's up, man? He goes, you're the hardcore closer. And I know that one rule from prison, okay, that has always stuck with me. If they give you a cool nickname, you better run with that shit, because the next one may suck and it may stick. You know what I mean? Like it reminds me of an old joke. There's a guy named Nicky, and he built the finest buildings in the town, the best looking bridges, was the greatest architecture. But one time they called him fucking a goat, and they don't call him Nicky the builder, Nicky the architect. He's Nicky the goat fucker. You know what I mean? Yep. So I look at that at nicknames, and I'm like, that's me. Yep. And I just kind of owned it. But I never was like, oh, I'm the hardcore closer. You know what I mean? Like that never even, to have that as a name for myself wasn't the idea. It was to really highlight my clients. But then when that guy called me, I was like, I don't really have a nickname. So that's kind of cool, And again, maybe a year later, I might have done some videos where I'm like, I'm Ryan Stewman, the hardcore closer. I might have just kind of leaned into it a little bit. But the mistake was, that meant people thought I was a sales trainer, because usually closers are sales. Yep. And again, I was, and I am obviously a pretty good salesperson, but my goal was to, hey, I assume you're already good at sales. Let me show you how to get leads. That was always my play. So for 17 years now, I have struggled with no, I don't do sales training. That's not my thing, right? But that's how the name came about.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'll say, I told you in the car too. I heard about you when I was in car sales, and I definitely thought you were a sales trainer. I watched the podcast. I was like, I was thinking I was going to learn sales training from you. Which honestly, I mean, I think that there's a
personal development and sales go together.
Yeah, yeah. There's a huge correlation between marketing and sales too. So I'm curious on. Well, I think I know which one you're going to say just based on your wording, but I'm just curious from your perspective, which one's more important, marketing or sales?
Marketing, because. Here's why most salespeople that are broke. It's because they don't know how to get leads. Yep. If they knew how to get leads, they wouldn't be broke. I can take a bad salesperson and give him 100 good leads, and he's going to make some sales. I can take a killer salesperson and give him no leads, and he won't make any sales.
Yep.
Leads is the ultimate, and that's where most people don't understand. They focus on the word tracks and they focus on the meet and greet and the path to the sale and all that stuff. But you can do that through marketing too. All that stuff, anything you can do in real life, you can translate online, especially in today's environment. Pretty easy. Videos, scripts. You can even use AI. So my thing is like, maybe I'm not that good of a salesman, but I'm a really good marketer, so I don't have to be a good salesperson.
Yep.
Yep. And so I think it is more important. The richest people I know got there because they knew how to market a brand. Some of the best salespeople I know aren't as rich as they could be because they focus too much on persuasion and influence and not marketing and advertising.
Well, now you got me questioning if that's my problem now, because I always came from the sales side, and that's something that I was just literally right before I picked you up, I was having a discussion with our guys. They're like, dude, the leads are down, and it's the sales manager and the salesperson talking. I'm like, bro, okay, your job is to focus on the sales. Like, I want you guys to do the sales thing. I'm going to focus on the leads. And honestly, I don't think it's helpful for you guys to even be worried about it, because now that's going to make you a less effective closer if you're worried about how many leads are coming in. Now you're like sitting there having worry, and now you can't close and just maximize every opportunity, because that's the way I always thought about it. It's like, dude, I don't care about what the dealership's bringing in, how many they're doing. My job is to focus on every single customer that I meet. I maximize the opportunity. And then if there's not enough leads, then what am I going to go do? I am somewhat of a marketer. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to create my own leads and give them. But I'm trying to find that balance, and where I'm like, yeah, you're right. If we had so many leads, then you don't have to be as good of a closer. But then if you're a really good closer, then you maximize all. If you get both, then it's going to be freaking great. But I'm trying to find that balance.
Here's the problem. Sales is like martial arts, and let's say that like one-on-one, face-to-face sales is like karate, and most people focus on getting a 10th degree black belt on karate. As soon as a dude shows up with some jiu-jitsu, fucks their life up, right? Because they weren't prepared for that.
Right.
And there's a lot of people with black belts in karate. There's very few people with black belts in BJJ and karate and taekwondo. And we see those guys like a John Jones or somebody these days, right? It's rare to find a sales guy that knows how to go get his own leads and close deals, and it creates what I've seen at every company I've ever ran or managed for someone else, is there is a fine line between the amount of leads I deliver and your ability as a salesperson to still continue to want to have the desire to hunt.
Yes, 100%.
So for me and you, the logic answer is the leads are down. I better go shake some trees. Mm-hmm. For most people, the leads are down. I'm going to go complain to the boss.
Yeah.
But you and I are mixed martial artists of the sales world. You understand how to go get leads, how to run ads. Even if you don't know how to do that, you know somebody where you can outsource that out too, right? Exactly. You figure it out. Whereas most people sit around and go, well, I've gotten really good at karate. I'm just waiting for someone to try to strike me.
Yep. That's a good analogy.
Whereas me and you, we go out there and we're like, dude, we got to find somebody to go to war with today. You know what I mean? Like, we got to shake some trees and make some things fall. And I hire about 2 people a week, and sales guys for Closer Capital. And first red flag to me is they start asking, well, how many leads are we getting a day and stuff? First thing I always tell them is, I'm really relying on you to bring the leads in.
Right.
I'm not just hiring salespeople. I mean, I've built a brand for myself and get a lot of leads in myself. Yep. But I'm expecting you to, I'm your competition, come in and compete against me and win. And I'll actually cheer you on and work harder for you than I will myself. But I don't want you to come in here and think, oh, I'm working for Stewman. I know he has a lot of leads, which I do. But you're starting here. I don't trust you yet. Yep. Why would I give you a lead when I know I can give it to Taylor, my top producer, and there is a 43% for 2 years in a row, a 43% chance that thing's going to close if I give it to her. I give it to you, my chances decrease by 50% almost instantly, maybe as much as 80%, because now I got a 10 to 25% chance of closing it, depending on your skill level and how much long you've been in the business and all of that stuff. So it's something that people have to earn, because I used to get people in, new guy come in, feeding them 5 leads a day. Next thing you know, my leads are getting fucked off.
Yep.
They're saying, where's the next hit, man? It's like, bro, you're
flying through them.
You're over here asking me for a sandwich, and you got a whole refrigerator full of deli meat and bread that you could put together.
Yep.
And so that is, as a sales manager or a CEO or an operator of a business, that is a fine line, especially for me, because the reputation is Stewman gets a lot of leads, and I do.
Yep.
But I'm also in the business of servicing those people. More importantly than closing them, I'm in the business of servicing them, right? Because the 43% that do close, okay, so that's 57 that don't. They close at some point in the future. We send them to credit repair. We teach them how to get their finances in order. We're not saying, no, don't come back. We're saying, now's not the time, but here's the steps to make it the time, you know? And, you know, especially new guys coming in, it's like I tell them, it's like, I can't give you leads yet because you're going to mess them up.
Right.
And, you know, in messing them up isn't just that it costs me money, which it does, but it costs the salesperson that could have closed them money.
Yep. And
it costs the customer getting what they want as well. So, but once somebody comes in, they prove themselves, then I'll load them up, man.
Yep.
You know, once we got about 5 guys that close in that 40 to 50% range, guys and girls that close in that 40 to 50% range, and like, once you get there, you can have as many as you want.
Yep,
I'll go out and I'll make it rain for you. You know, so
we're finding that balance too, because we've brought people in as lead qualifiers who are at first I'm like, all right, dude, you guys got to go out there, generate your own, and then you guys got to make it. We'll teach you everything. We'll show you how you're going to go get them, and then you're going to give them to the closer, and then we a lot of times probably move them too fast from lead qualifier to actually getting leads themselves, and they lose confidence because now they're not able to close. And so I'm finding the balance of that because, I just have different philosophies. I came from the car business, dude. They hired 10 people at a time, one stayed, and I was usually the one guy, and I saw hundreds of people that went in and out. And so for me, it's like, it's very much just sink or swim, but I'm trying to find that balance. But it seems like, you're more of a marketing guy, and so we were just having this debate, so I'd love to know your perspective, because you're honestly probably one of the best marketers out there. I mean, you've made a freaking huge name for yourself. So how important is brand versus ROI? And so, like, this is what we were talking about is, okay, we just spent, I don't know, we're probably spending like $5,000 a month on radio. We've not gotten anything off of it. We've been doing it for 3 months now, so I'm like, okay, $15K. We could just bump up TV, which we spend about $8,000 to $10,000 a month right now, and it's going really well. And so we're trying radio because we're like, well, maybe the mix. And, we heard everybody's hitting us up like, hey, I heard you're on the radio. I'm like, that's great. But nobody's calling because they heard us on the radio. And so then how important is it for, like, brand? I'm like, dude, people know us, but that doesn't freaking keep the lights on. And so do you think brand's important, or is it really about, like, making sure that you're getting ROI, or is it a mixture of both, or, like, what's the balance between them?
I don't think there's a balance. I think in the beginning, the only thing that matters is making money, ROI.
Okay. Yep.
Right? Like, so, like, I'll give myself as a great example. In the beginning, nobody knew who Ryan Stewman was, and nobody knew Hardcore Closer. Like, that Hardcore Closer became like an alter ego for me. Like, Ryan Stewman's been to prison, has been divorced, been a drug addict, has been a loser. Hardcore Closer had none of that. He's just a successful dude, you know what I mean? So it kind of allowed me to have an alter ego, like, almost fake it till you make it.
Sure.
But I wasn't faking stuff. I didn't have a backstory
put
with this other character. Yeah.
Yep.
And but the main thing was I needed a return on investment. So, if Grant Cardone, for example, or a big name, Tony Robbins, somebody like that runs an ad, you're like, oh, I know that guy, I trust him, it's probably legit, right? Well, when you're first starting, you don't have that.
Right.
So you have to use ROI to make a brand. So the first thing for me was like, I grew up in the business world around realtors and stuff. They love putting their face on everything.
Yep.
I didn't care about that. I made an offer. You know what I mean? Hey, my offer was real simple in the very beginning. It's like, if you're a loan officer who's not doing at least $2 million a month in closed volume, get on a strategy session with me, and I'll show you how to get there using social media. Okay? The first time I had spent my last $5,000 to go visit a guy named Kevin Nations. This is 2012. Every dollar I had saved between his $5,000, a hotel room, the flight there, all that. So I'm piss broke, right? Like, I'm hoping they serve lunch because I don't got food money.
Yep.
And I'm hoping somebody in the group's a baller that's really cool, just going to take us out for dinner and buy us drinks. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Right? Like, that was my main plan. I get into the room, and this was the greatest thing to happen in my career. I get into the room, and it's all a really bunch of successful people, like names you would know today. And then me, I'm the, like, new guy. I'm the only guy that hadn't been to a previous event with these people. And so he's talking, Kevin Nations is talking to all these people, and he's like, yo, what do you need? And this person's like, I need leads. And he goes, no, you need to get better at this and this. You already have leads. You're just not converting. So he's, he knows all these people, and he comes to me, and he goes, what do you need? I said, I need leads, man. And he goes, well, I know you're a good salesperson because, of our conversations we've had and stuff. He goes, AJ, come over here and show this guy how to run ads. Guy at the time, his name's AJ Roberts. He was the strongest man in the world at the time. He had like a 1,100 pound, squat or some crazy shit. It was whatever the numbers were back then, right? Dude, a hulk of a man, right? English fella. And so he sits down with me and he goes, okay, let's run some ads on Facebook. And I went, okay. At this time, I probably had 3 clients. And I went, okay. How do we do that? And he goes, what's your best performing video on YouTube? And I said, well, this one's got like 10 views or whatever, right? And he goes, he watched it. He goes, that'll work. Pulls the video off. We make a quick funnel and lead pages, and we run an ad in Meta. And it was just like me showing loan officers with that, hey, if you're not doing $2 million, matter of fact, we didn't pull the video off YouTube. We went out in Kevin's backyard, it's a big golf course, grotto, and I said, hey, if you're a loan officer and you're not doing, we recorded that on a little BlackBerry phone or whatever we used at the time, downloaded that to Meta and ran ads on it. I remember AJ looked at me, he goes, let's spend $100 a day. I don't got no money.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at him going, how many days till they charge me? And he goes, usually when you get to $700, they charge you. And I went, okay, so I got a week. Let's roll, right? We're in Vegas, let's gamble. So goes in there, puts the stuff in. 2 hours later, I have like 30 leads in my inbox.
Wow.
Now, it's 2012. This shit's impossible to do in 2026. So if you're out there listening, like, this isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. This doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, you could go a lot more targeted back then.
Yeah.
And
Well, and nobody else was advertising. Right. Now there's a queue, so it's bidding for the highest price to get that place in the news feed.
Yep.
So I go and don't even attend the event. I'm in Kevin's backyard for the next 3 hours, calling and texting and everything. By the end of the day, I made like 20 grand.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay.
What were you selling?
Social media training. So I had the same thing Kevin was doing. So Kevin taught this. Well, that was the point of hiring him, right? He taught this program. It's called Big Money from Small Events.
Wow.
And so what he would do is he would take like 20 people and they charge like $5,000 each to this event. Then he'd have an upsell into his $30,000 mastermind. Yep. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty common shit now. But in 2012, nobody was doing that. Right. Kevin's the boss of all this stuff. He's the best I've ever seen, best money I've ever spent. Still have a relationship with him all these years later. And he's a low-key guy. Most people don't even know who he is. He's just a brilliant dude, an operator. Kevin lives the life that he has no employees, probably makes $2 or $3 million a year, no overhead, no office, no nothing. All of his cars, house, everything's either leased or paid for cash. Like he rents his house, so there's no big bills there.
Yep.
Dude's does what he wants, He's got the best clients that have probably been with him for 10 years. Like, he's winning.
That's awesome.
So I realized, though, hey, man, it wasn't about me. It was about this offer. But what happens is, okay, so I'm selling them about 20 grand that day. I sold to my very first event, I sold 5 spots. $5,000 each, okay? I sold 4 of them that first day, another one about a week later. What I realized is out of those 30 leads, I said, if you're a loan officer not doing $2 million a month, well, 0 is not $2 million, so there was a lot of zeros in there. Mm-hmm. So I went back and tweaked my offer. Okay, I need a bigger ROI on this. Okay, I go back, tweak my offer. If you're a loan officer consistently closing 7 figures a month and you want to double your volume, now I got guys making money, so I go from closing 1 out of every 20 leads to like 1 out of every 5.
Wow.
Because they're more qualified.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, it's not a who is Ryan Stewman. I don't matter. Let me get you these results. I'm just trying to get an ROI and get people in here. I ran that first event, 5 people, $5,000 each, 4 of them up traded into a $25,000 mastermind. So I ended up making 110 or 120 grand from that first event. Now, you finance them for a year, so that's over the course of a year. But I got to where I was running those events once a month and making $3 million a year by myself. You know, and again, that was 2013, 2014. And so, but about 2018, I met, 2017, I met Ed Milet. He wasn't on the internet yet, but he was already, well-to-do and had exited his company. And he introduced me in 2018 to a guy named Andy Frisella. And Andy did a session at the one of the meetups at his house or something. I don't remember where it was, but he did a session on core values. Mm-hmm. And I looked at First Form, And still, in my opinion, today, almost 10 years later, that's the strongest brand I've ever seen.
Yeah, they're awesome.
But it didn't start that way. It started by trying to sell supplements, and then it grew into a brand. So that's a long answer, but the answer is, in the beginning, ROI is all that matters.
Yep.
Then, once you start making money, servicing your people and making them happy is all that matters.
Yep.
Then that's going to build the brand for you.
Okay.
But here's what a brand stands for, right? Like, if we think we'll use first form. Oh, the brand is lifestyle and health and fitness. No, it isn't. No, it isn't, right? The brand is predictability. If I order a First Form energy drink, it's going to taste the same whether I'm in Fort Wayne, Indiana, or Frisco, Texas, right? If I order their protein powder and I order it in December or July, it's going to taste the same.
Yep.
It's the consistency. It's going to come in the same. If I go and we order a Coke in Timbuktu or a Coke in California, it's the same.
Yep.
The reason why people like Chick-fil-A isn't because the chicken. It's okay, but it's consistent. You know, they're always good. You could pull up to McDonald's and it's inconsistent. You might get a nice person. You might get somebody from the hood. You might get somebody cussing at you at the window. You never know. Chick-fil-A, you know, every time. How may I help you? How may I serve you today? My pleasure.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
you know you're going to be in and out. There's going to be no drama. That's their brand, right? The biggest brand, a brand is consistency.
Yeah.
So you can't build a brand in the beginning because you don't have any consistency. Nobody's buying Chick-fil-A because of their logo or because of their employees. They're buying it for the I know the predictable experience. Nobody buys a Coke and goes, man, I wonder if it tastes like the one I had 5 Cokes ago. Right? That brand is your SOP, which in Coke is your recipe, right? And in Chick-fil-A, it's my pleasure instead of, yeah, you're welcome or whatever, right? It's always like those little things make the brand. You look at the biggest brands out there, First Form, Coca-Cola, Chick-fil-A. Like if you ask somebody, hey, what is it you like about Coca-Cola? Tastes the same anywhere I order it.
Yep. Yeah, the thing that I like about that actually is that's what I'm working to do in the sales process and everything is like, okay, we are going to do the same thing because I was, it's so funny, we just had a conversation this morning with the same sales manager, and he was telling me about this new sales guy who just closed a client by confusing them because they didn't know what the frick they're talking about. And he's like, and it worked. I'm like, that is the worst thing that could have happened.
Yeah.
Because it worked, and now they think, oh, dang, like, I just got to say a bunch of bull crap. I'm like, no. We need to say the same thing every single time. And the reason that I like that as a leader, and especially with this coaching thing, because, like, for me, my word and getting people results is very important. But also, I'm going into a world where not everybody's going to get results, which kind of scares the crap out of me.
That does suck.
Yeah, so, like, it's going to be very difficult to get, but again, the way that I think about it is if I'm giving them the same process that I know worked, because like the guy that you met, Andrew, he's been with me since he was 18 years old. I taught him everything I knew. He's right beside me. He became a millionaire at 21. He's got 29 rental doors. Like I taught him everything. I taught him how to refinance, use the bank's money, all this stuff. And so I know that like it's duplicatable. It's not just like, okay, I did this myself and then, I don't know if it's going to work. Because honestly, in the beginning, I'm like, dude, I had belief, but I wasn't sure if somebody else could learn what I learned. I wasn't sure if somebody else could do it. But now I've created systems.
We don't feel special, but we might be.
Yeah, exactly. You know? Yeah, you never know. It's like, dude, was I born different? Because I know you had a hard upbringing, and I had a very tough upbringing. So I'm like, dude, can somebody even learn the discipline without going through some freaking bull crap?
That's a very valid. I don't know if I wouldn't have went through prison that I wouldn't be as disciplined as I am today.
Yep.
I've never really thought about that, but if I hadn't spent 4 years, pretty much 4 years of my life, the same routine, the same exact, you know what I mean? Then it would probably be very difficult out here with that's the scariest thing about money is when you're poor, you don't have options. You know, you buy what you can buy, you afford what you can afford, you live where you live. You get money, kind of do whatever the hell you want, you know? And for me, I've had to, like, this is a 4-year-old jacket. These jeans are probably 2 years old. I know these boots are 3 years old. Like, I'm not a person that goes and spends money on those kind of things, right? And this was the first nice watch I ever bought for myself 10 years ago. Yeah.
Let's go.
And I thought I was crazy paying. I think I paid like $10,000 for it. I'm like, I can't believe I'm doing this. You know what I mean? And I was 35 at the time, maybe 36, you know? So I say that because money gives people options, and it usually fucks them up, right? It's like you make a little money, and then automatically you got to upgrade your lifestyle because you got options, right? The reason why I bring that up is you talk about your 21-year-old guy. I had a couple of young fellas, Zach and Blake.
I remember Zach. Yeah.
And Zach probably owns 7 houses and started a roofing company that does really well now. Blake started a concrete company that does really well now, millions a year. And those guys, you know, they came to me and they lived at home with their mom. They had nothing to lose. They weren't married. They don't have kids. So they were like, whatever you say, boss. And dude, these guys, Blake probably did 8 or 10 million for me. Zach did 15 million for me, you know. And so I bring older guys in that got a wife and kids and a car payment and insurance and a house payment, and they couldn't make it because they couldn't. Like, the force of average traps you to where you can't struggle for 90 days because you don't have 90 days of bill runway. Right? Like, you need the job, you know the job, but damn, man, I gotta go back to the car dealership because I can catch an up there and make a $5,000 check this month, and it may be another month before I even get $1 over here, right? But you and I know that if you can afford, it's only a matter of time. Some people take longer, but it's only a matter of time. And if I just keep doing the same things over and over again that I know win, that I know other people win, it's only a matter of time before I win too. You know what I mean? If I keep going to the gym every day doing bench press, it's only a matter of time before I can bench press 225 no matter where I started. Right? As long as I don't quit. It may take me 10 years, but as long as I don't quit. And so when you're young, you can always go move back in with mom. If you're young and you fail, it's like, you know, I'm 20. What do you expect? Of course I'm moving back with my mom. I fucked up. I'm learning, right? In your 40s, you have this ego and this family to protect, and you get stuck in a job, you know? And I think a lot of people, at least it's been my experience, a lot of people that went into sales or entrepreneurship when they didn't have responsibilities and used the struggle and broke free from that and then went and got responsibilities, those are the people that win. The people that are trying to break into that now, that have all this responsibility, you're going to have to lower your standards, man. Like, I'll give you an example. In 2004, I started my very first company, and we were wholesaling properties like what you do. And so I was a loan officer already, and then I started wholesaling properties on the side. I made like $700,000 in wholesaling one year. And in 2005. And I had 2 partners. And so they made, you know, probably about $500 each. And I watched them buy bigger houses and fancier cars. And I'm still driving the same old, you know, truck that I've had. Still living in the same house that I've been owning for years at that point. And those guys ended up screwing up and had to go get a job, you know, couldn't make it. I didn't spend my money, so I withered through the hard times. I remember there was a time, man, where I had just made, and all my friends laughed at me, called me an idiot, right? But I had just made about $50,000 from a deal. And then I took all the money from that deal and put it into the next one, like zero cash in my hand. And it was 2 weeks to close, and I stand to make like 150 on the next deal, right? And it took me like 2 weeks before I would get my 150 back, maybe a little longer than that. But I remember, dude, going down and buying pizza with change. You know, I know I'd go buy a large pizza for $5 with some quarters, dimes, and pennies, and that would last me 2 days. You know what I mean? Like, but a 40-year-old man who's already got a Lexus and who used to be, that's the biggest curse, too. I used to be top producer. Tell me, when you hear somebody say, oh, I used to be in sales, like, yeah, dude, and now you're driving a Toyota Corolla and you're miserable, right? Because you quit. So, like, you tell me you used to do something and you were really good at it, that's not true, because if you were really good at it, you'd still be doing it winning. You know, I used to sell, too. I still do, but I used to, too, right? So, most people, but your guy, you don't have nothing to lose, so he can risk everything because he has nothing to lose. And then when people start having responsibility and stuff to lose, they don't want to take the risk.
100%.
Cardone once said, I went to a 10X event in Miami a decade or so ago, and one of the things he said on the stage stuck with me. He said, the biggest threat to being a millionaire is being a millionaire. Because now you don't want to adjust your standard of living to get to the next level.
That's something I'm actually struggling with right now, is I just paid off my house, which, dude, I'm the same way as you. Like, I tell all these guys of how conservative I just bought the watches. I got like probably like $90,000 of Rolexes, which is the first thing I actually not regret buying them. I regret freaking getting to watches because it's the one thing that I actually like now, which is kind of annoying. I'm like, dang, this is one thing I like. But I bought my house in 2016 for $145,000. I still live in the same house. It's paid off at the most expensive it ever was $850 a month. And I was freaking out. I'm like, holy crap, this is a big mortgage. And then my car payment was like $300. I'm like, dang, this is crazy. The most expensive my lifestyle's ever been is $2,400 a month. I always stayed that. Even when I was making millions, I'm like, dude, I always stayed that way. And now I'm starting to feel like, did you get to a point where you're like, now it's time? Or like, how do you transition that? Or like, I'm kind of getting scared because I'm like, my wife's like, hey, maybe we should get a ranch. Maybe we should get a house with a pond and all that stuff. And I'm like, couldn't we afford it? Yeah, but I'm like, we just got out of like this. And so maybe it does make sense just to like, enjoy life without having any obligations and stuff. Or is it like, okay, yeah, it's time to, like, you've waited 10, 12 years for upgrading your lifestyle and stuff. Like I owe nothing on anything of personal. But I don't know. I'm like trying to find that in my life. I'm like, do I want to upgrade or like, what do I actually want? I don't know if you've experienced anything like that.
Yeah, going back to Kevin, it's a great example. And I told you a little bit about this in the car, but, for about 10 years, I've been doing 8 figures plus a year. Mm-hmm. And some years better than others, but for about 10 years now. And, a few years ago, I looked up and it's like, yeah, I got a bunch of top-line revenue coming in, yep, and a bunch of people working for me, and I'm stuck in this office. I had an office that cost me $100,000 a month, and
that's a nice office.
It was the nicest fucking office in town, and I paid $4.5 million for it, sold it for $6.5 million.
Let's go.
So last year I sold it for $6.5 million, but stayed there for 3 years. And looked up one day and it's like, dude, I'm hustling every month to pay for a building that I really don't give a fuck about. Mm. I got a ranch and I hustle every month to pay for the ranch. I enjoy it. I hustle every month to pay my mortgage on my big ass house, but I enjoy it. This building, fuck man, I'm paying $100,000 a month to work. Mm-hmm. That's nuts, you know? And so I say that because I looked up at this guy the way that I met Kevin Nations through a dude named Frank Kern. And Frank Kern talks about your perfect day. If you had to eat the same food, live the same day, every day, forever. And about July of 2024, I went, I am living the exact opposite of my perfect day. I lived my perfect day for like 8 years and then decided that it wasn't perfect anymore. I got bored with it or something. Yep. And I went, man, I gotta undo all of this. And I tell you that because, like, for me, I don't have car payments. The only thing that I have debt on is real estate. So I don't have any personal loans, credit cards to pay them off every month. I have a little debt on my ranch, maybe 30% LTV, same with my house, and then I've got 2 rent houses that you could have them if you really want them.
Were they in Ohio?
No, they're in Florida and Texas, but I just prefer not. To me, and you maybe will see this later on in life too, I know some rich people in real estate, but I don't know any real estate billionaires. Mm-hmm. The billionaires, the large majority of them come from stocks.
Okay.
So, so in the beginning, though, you don't have stock money to make stock money, so real estate works. And real estate's great for offsetting taxes when you get money later on in life, like when you've been at it for a while.
And for me, it was super leverageable. Like, that's the only way I could get wealthy is if I leverage it.
And so, well, even now, you put $20,000 in Robinhood, they give you $40,000. It's like gambling.
Oh, really?
They'll give you a line on it, no problem.
That's kind of scary.
And so, for me, I'm like, okay, I go buy a house. It goes up 3% a year, 5% a year if I'm lucky. And then if I keep it for less than 2 years, all that appreciation is gone with closing costs, right? If I'm cash flowing at $300 a month and the AC goes out on that bitch, then I'm out of cash flow for the whole month, right? Or for the whole year. Yeah, sorry, the whole year. Stocks cost me $10 to buy and sell. If I need cash, I get cash immediately. I don't have to list it. I don't have to pay it. So I start thinking as I'm older, though, right? So I start thinking, how can I buy assets I can get in and out of quickly, And so for you, maybe you do go buy a ranch or something. Highly recommend it. It's the greatest thing I've ever spent money on, And maybe you do go do that. But you keep your paid off house, right?
So I'm definitely using that.
So you've always got that. You know what I mean? Like, world falls apart, we're just moving back to where we came from.
Yep,
exactly.
Yeah.
And so, but then the rest of your money, That's an asset, though, because if you had to sell the ranch, you could. The thing that I don't, if you have to sell the watch, you may not get what you paid for it, but you get cash from it, right? That's what I look at these days. If I buy something, and I've been this way for about 20 years now, if I buy something, how can I make sure that it's at least got, if I buy this jacket and it's $5,000 or $10,000, it's not, it's Levi, but you get the point, right? I wear it. No, you don't want it. You're not going to pay $5 or 10 grand. Just go to the store and buy it, right? I've wasted that money on this. If I bought this 10 years ago for 10 grand, maybe it's worth $5 grand now. I don't know, but at least I got some cash from it, right? So I look at things that way. I remember when I was first coming up in the mortgage business, I'm making $500,000 a year during the subprime boom, and I had a guy that was a processor making about 80 grand a year. I went to his house one night. And, dude, he had a movie theater, he had a Corvette and a Lexus, and, dude, surround sound, beautiful furniture. I live in a house like what you said, is about 160 grand. I still got the furniture I had from my bachelor pad days and shit in there, but I'm making $500,000 a year. I got zero fucking debt and a lot of money in the bank, right? Well, I go over there, I'm like, how the fuck you living like this? How can you afford? I make 3 times what you make, and I can't afford to live like this. I remember when the subprime bubble popped, he had to file bankruptcy. All that was on credit cards, leverage. Subprime bubble pop for me. I actually made more money because there was less competition. You know? And so you look at it and see, like, you can look at it as like, okay, I have, let's say I'm you, and I've got $250,000 in the bank account. My house is paid off. I've got cash flowing properties. It probably may make sense for me to buy something I enjoy. Even if you go buy a Lamborghini, it's still something you can sell. You know what I mean? And if you buy the right one, you can drive them for 6 or 8 months. You can't drive them a lot, but you can have them for 6 or 8 months and then pretty much break even.
Is a Urus a good one?
Can be.
Okay, I was thinking like, well, right off, and I was looking at a Urus, but I'm like,
good car. They're fun to drive. I have one.
I'm just deciding on if I like. I'm going back. I honestly just hired a coach too, just to find out like, do I even want that? Because what I'm trying to differentiate is like, do I want that, or am I just doing this because like I go through some weird thoughts. I'm even the Rolex. I'm like, I actually like this Rolex and the blue and stuff, but I'm like, but would I like it if nobody else liked it? And I don't know that answer because I'm like, I'm really like soul search. I'm like, would I? I don't freaking know, dude. And
dude,
it's
I
like,
got $150,000 watches, and I wear a Samsung every day. Like, you know, like, because you'll see if you have multiple of them, they're never on time. You always have to fix the time with them and shit, you know. But people do value them, so there's money in them. So you're not buying a losing asset. You know what I'm saying? Like, you may not get what you paid for it, but it's never going to be worth zero. You know what I mean? And Rolex does hold its value, like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari. So you may, let's say you paid 15 grand for that watch, it's probably going to be worth 11 or 12 forever. You know what I mean? So
that's kind of how I think too. But yeah, I want to go into like what we were just about to talk about because this is something that I'm really trying to figure out. So I'll tell you a little bit of backstory. So I grew up like, my dad was actually in prison for a while. He almost murdered my mom. And then, like, that was one of my first memories. I'm 6 years old. I walk up from the bus, and then, like, my aunt's there, and I'm with my sisters. And I'm like, man, I got to step up, and I got to take care of my sisters now. Like, I got to be the man of the house. And that's kind of like what has shaped my entire life is, like, I got to help other people now, and I got to take care of my sisters. And so that's made me a great person in a lot of ways because I'm like, man, like, this it just shifted my identity. And then it also has, like, hurt me in some ways of, like, you know, connection. And, like, there's a whole lot of other stuff that happened with my mom. And then there's a guy that she was with that did some stuff to my little sister. And I felt like I couldn't protect her after I just stepped up and just some messed up stuff. And it caused a lot of distrust with women. But all that being said, I'm trying to find the balance for my daughter on how I can not recreate the struggle that got me to the man that I am, but also make sure that I don't, like, you know, give her everything either to where, like, she doesn't ever have the opportunity to go through hard things because that's how you become the person that you are. So I'm curious on, like, you know, how many kids you have, what you do to them, and, like, how you teach them hard lessons because you've had not an easy life and, like, you've had ups and downs. Like, how do you actually teach your kids without giving them stuff? Or do you have a different philosophy where you're like, you know what, I am going to give them a better life than what I've had?
Yeah, man. Well, I don't mean to brag, but I'm the greatest dad to ever live.
Let's go.
Facts. Like, I put my kids up against anybody's as far as behavior and manners. I'm adopted and abused and obviously had a rough upbringing. And so my one goal when I found out I was having a kid for the first time was like, actually, I'm sitting in prison and I'm like, I don't have any kids. Maybe that'll keep my ass out of trouble. So I get out, I get married, I have a kid. And I said, man, I got one goal. I'm a very simple, singular-driven person. I'm not a 50 lanes, big thinker type of person. I'm like, man, if I can just get a singular focus and nail that shit, that's all that fucking matters, right? So if I'll be the dad that I never had, if I'll be that guy that I wished that I would have had in my life for me. You know what I mean? My adopted dad wasn't successful. He wasn't great at anything. He wasn't articulate or just an average fella. You know what I mean? He's not a horrible person. I ain't talked to him in 15 years, but just like, you know what I mean? And so I don't want that for my kids. So I make a few rules for kids. Okay, while I was in prison with no kids, I made some rules of how I'm going to be. I got a lot of time in there, so I'm going to make rules of how I'm going to run my family. So I have my oldest son, Jax, and he's 14 now.
Wow.
He'll be 15 this year. He everywhere that I go, or if you were with me, he would beat us to the door and open that door for us.
That's awesome.
Yes, sir, no, sir. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Solid grades in school. Never been in a fist fight. Never. But here's why. I have never lied to these kids. And it's not easy. You know, I have never hidden anything from them. I smoke weed, like weed, smoke a lot of weed, smoke weed every fucking day. Never hidden it from them. You know what I mean? I've never been like, son, this is weed. You know what I mean? But it's like, they're not going to one day go into a party and be like, what is that smell? Oh, you guys are acting funny on this. What's going on? They've been watching me and my friends get high for fucking their whole lives. You know what I mean? They've watched us drink their whole lives. They've seen, I've been divorced a few times, sadly, but I've been married for 12 years this last go-around.
That's awesome.
And going on 13 this year. And the big point that I made when I designed kids and I designed my marriage, because like, I had this Frank Kern guy, and he goes, man, why don't you're not happy in your marriage? I had a wife that, man, was cooking, working, watching the kids. She didn't do shit, right? And so he had me design my perfect woman. So I designed my perfect woman. Then he goes, go give it to your wife. And then she left me, right? She's like, oh, I can't beat this. I'm out, right?
Wow.
Me and Sean Whalen were out looking at wholesale properties in South Dallas and came back to my house in 2014, and my house is empty. You know, so anyway, it's probably the best thing to happen to me because I found Amy because of that. But before I got with Amy gets real serious after we've been dating for a year or two. It's like, we got to get married. I've never been married before. I'm like, I fuck marriages up. You know what I mean? Like, it's like we got a good
PTSD.
thing going. Why ruin this? We got a good thing going. So we write a prenup, but it's not a prenup about money because I didn't really have shit back then anyway, like that would matter compared to today. But it was about how we were going to do our marriage, how we're going to raise the kids, how we're going to do. So my kids see me and their mom go out on date night every single Wednesday, every week that they have been alive. If we don't go out on date night because maybe we moved it to a Thursday or Friday, it's usually Wednesday, but for concert or friends or something, the kids be like, you guys good? You know, y'all ain't going out tonight. Everybody, y'all ain't mad at each other. Like, that's they see that, you know. My kids have seen me go to the gym every morning of their life. Wow. You know, my 13-year-old's been working out with me since August.
Let's go.
And every day, right? Planet Fitness, I got a trainer. I pay the trainer extra for him too. and then I go to Planet Fitness 2 days a week, right? So do like bench and legs. And then we got a CrossFit trainer that we do time with. Dude, my son's went from not being able to pick up the bar, and I guess it's been probably 5 months now, to squatting 115 for sets of 5.
Let's go.
You know? And me and my trainer are both like, dude, when I was 13, I couldn't bench press the bar. Dude, my son's doing reps of it because he's seen me his whole life. He's like, I want to be like Dad. Dad goes and works out. And so he's like, I want to work out with you. And he does. My oldest, he works out with me sometimes, but he's in school, so they work out at school in the morning. Okay. You know what I mean? So he's in football and then soccer, so they do all that. But the two younger ones, they're just waiting until they're old enough. You got to be 13 to get in the gym. You know what I mean? So but those little things of being very intentional, you know. Here's what I heard. I heard that when you start working out, you change your DNA. And then if you have kids after that, you've changed the DNA that's passed on to your kids. You've changed them genetically. So me working out since I'm 20 years old, okay, since I'm 19, and I'm 46 now, so fucking, that 28 years, 27 years? So me doing this, this whole time has changed my DNA, which has passed off better genes than I had to my kids. Now they're working out. Think like we're doing the exact opposite of what most families are doing. Don't work out, pass off recessive genes. Don't work out, pass off recessive gene, pass off bad habits. I'm doing my best to pass off only the good shit. Now the other thing is like, you know, I don't drink much, but occasionally, but I do smoke weed, like I said. But my kids, I tell them, hey man, don't be like me. Do you want to be like me? You're nothing like me in the sense of you're not adopted. You didn't grow up in a shit part of town. You weren't beat by your fucking father. You haven't gone to prison. You weren't. But I told my 14-year-old, by the time I was your age, I was selling drugs to adults living by the time 1 year from where you're at right now, I never went back home again. I was my own adult at 15 and like used to like Pokemon, bro. Like, but that's cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And my kids don't act like because their dad's tough, they're tough. You know what I mean? It's none of that because I have been intentional. I've never lied to them. I've always shot them straight. I remember one time I had a bunch of people in my office, 50, 100, 200 people for a comedy show. And we go upstairs, me and my oldest son. This was last year, I think, year before last, 24. We go upstairs to the what we call the green room, and there's like a bar in there. So I pour a shot of tequila because I'm about to go tell jokes or whatever. So I pour a shot of tequila. My son goes, Dad, what's a blowjob? Ah, fuck. So I explained to him, he had about 50 more questions. So I ended up having a whole sex talk with him, you know. And like an hour later, my wife and a couple of my employees come upstairs. They're like, what have you been doing up here for? I was like, man, fuck, thank you guys for saving me. But I couldn't, you know, oh, now's not the time or whatever. It's like, man, he wants to know. Let those people do their thing down there, and I'm going to pour into my kid, you know. When my kids were old enough to start getting on the internet, you know, first thing to do is look up Dad. And I remember Jax was like 6 years old. He's like, "You've been to prison?
Oh, wow.
What did you do? You were on drugs?" Like, you know, yeah, but listen, I was an idiot. I had a different life than you. I expect you to do better than me. And if you don't do better than me, you're going to let me down. You want to let me down, you know. But if I tell my kid, this reason why I tell you that is if I tell my kid something, hey, it's not a good idea, they don't double check me and go, well, Dad lies to me a lot, or Dad has hidden things from me, or I can't. That's why teenagers rebel, is because you say, well, I didn't do that when I was a kid, and then grandma goes, oh, the fuck he didn't.
Exactly.
And now they're like, oh, my dad lied to me. The one person I'm supposed to trust with my life, attention, and everything just lied to me about something as casual as getting in trouble in school. What else is he lying about?
100%.
And now there's distrust between, and then the teenager, hormones flowing, and you're saying, hey, you can't go out. You did it. You know, I don't deal with that. Yeah, I did. I went to fucking prison. Is that where you want to go? No. Right? I don't even have those conversations because it's like, hey, man, I don't like your friend that you got. You know, like he said a couple things, and we're going to have to keep our eye on him. Hey, you know what? If you don't like him, I don't like him. I invite him back over, Dad. You know, because they know that I'm not trying to put them in a bad spot. Matter of fact, my 14-year-old gets out of the truck the other day at school. He said, all right, Dad, love you. I said, love you too, son. End of the day, I pick him up. He goes, man, the kids heard me say that and started making fun of me. And say, you tell your dad you love him, like you getting out of school or whatever. It's like, do those kids have dads? I said, what'd you say to him? He goes, well, I told him if they knew you, they'd tell you they love you too. Everybody I know says that to you. He's like, everywhere we go, people are like, I love you, man. Like,
that's awesome.
That's the example. So all we can do is think of what we didn't get when we were kids, right? And it's not the toys and all that. That's cool too. But like, what didn't we get as a kid? You know, one of the rules that I made while I was sitting in prison is if my kid said why, if I tell him something, he says why, I will never say because I told you so. Because that's not a why, right? It's the easy out answer, but I need to articulate well because this could happen, and this could happen, and this could happen, or this happened to me, and this has been my experience, so that's why. You know?
That's awesome because, yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that. I told the same exact thing to my sister. So my sister, my older sister, she's not been able to have kids, and so she adopted 5 kids. She's got 5 adopted kids. She's awesome.
Like Angelina Jolie or something.
Yeah, basically. But there's one kid. He's a redhead kid. He's a lot like me, dude. Like I was ADHD. I was rebellious. I was smart, and I was mouthy. And so this kid is just like that. And she's like, I don't know how to deal with him, and I don't know. And I'm like, you lie to him. You sit there and you lie to him, and he knows. He can tell that you're lying to him. Yeah, he's 10 years old and he knows you're lying to him because he's freaking gifted athletically. And I was always naturally talented too. And so this kid was like, oh, you picked us two because we're the best on the team, didn't you? And my sister's like, no, I didn't, because she didn't want to make everybody else feel bad.
Right.
But you did. You did pick him because he's the best.
That's what you got to say, winners win, bro.
Yeah.
You know?
Or you just tell him, hey, you can set them aside and say, yes, I did pick you because you're the best. But we don't want to make other people feel bad, so I'm not going to tell you in that setting. But yes, like, have the conversation and be real with them, because that's the same reason that I had a big distrust for my mom, which later turned into all women, because I felt like they were just a little bit manipulative. And for me, I didn't feel like I could trust them. Yeah, they're not as straightforward.
You have to lead women.
Yeah, they're not as straightforward.
So there's a big misconception. This is probably going to be the part they clip. There's a big misconception on why God created women. Okay, most of the Bibles we read today are bullshit. They're translated and transcribed so many different ways that the original story's lost. That's intentional because we're way more powerful human beings than we think we are. Brain's the most powerful thing. I mean, literally, you created this, bro. You thought of it and created it, right? Everything we have, we thought of it and created it, right? Or don't have, you thought of it and created it. So the Bible, we're told that God made man a partner. That's what they say. Oh, he pulled a rib from Eve or from Adam and created Eve as an equal partner. It does not say that. You know, people love quoting the Bible and telling stories out of it and had never read it, right? Yeah, and I'm no preacher, but I did enough time in prison to where I've read the Bible enough, and I've spent 21 years in the same church. I've given probably at this point $1 million to them. And so I've read Proverbs, the book of Proverbs, probably 200 times.
Wow.
Okay, so like I studied the Bible.
Yep.
God created a helper for man. You see the difference? A partner is like, me and you own a business together. A helper is you're my employee. Big difference in that title, right? So the feminist movement, and everybody says God created us equal. No, he created man equal and created woman to be a helper. He took the most protective part of a man, which was the rib that kept us from gut punches and everything else, right? This area is vulnerable. You know, you get stabbed the easiest here. You get it, right? He removed a giant rib, the biggest part, according to the story, gave it to a woman to create man a helper. He said he does not need to be alone. He needs help, okay? Which, if someone is your helper, let's call it an employee, and ladies, I know what you're thinking. Oh, you say we're just hear me out, okay? Man's job was to go out and kill things. Women are not proficient killers. Women are empathetic, sympathetic beings that are emotional. They're not killers. There's a few. There's outliers. But for the most part, you know, most women see you shoot a deer and it's like, oh, Bambi, right?
Yeah.
Men need to go out and do that. Men fight battles. Men eat things. The woman's job was to help. The things that man goes out, kills something, woman skins it, cleans it, cooks it. Man goes out and kills things, woman feeds the kids that they built together, right? It was a helper. It was a partnership, but it was a leader, subservient partnership, okay? Sure. So what we flash forward 2026, what we have is all this women are equal stuff. And the truth is, if women are not led by a man, this is what they're going to get me with. But if women are not led by a man, they are manipulative. They will, like, you look at the biggest problem we have in any culture today, and it's with single mothers. Matter of fact, I'm going to tell you a statistic that was studied over a 25-year period from Stanford College. And they took 2,000 different kids, and they, from the day they were born, same year, blah, 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 and they studied them for 25 years. Which ones became the most successful? Which ones became the most degenerates? The number one way to raise a kid, because those 2,000 kids, some of them were divorced, some of them got lesbian parents, some, you know what I mean? Like, run the whole gamut at Stanford, right? Yep. The most successful were the ones that had two parents, no brainer, right? The least successful was the mom. The most degenerates in prison, in trouble, bad credit, no going nowhere were raised by a single mother. You want to hear something crazy? It was actually a tie for first place. The most people that were successful to two married people, mother and father, not mother, not father, mother and father, was tied with single fathers who raised their kids.
Interesting. That's interesting.
So I say that because man is designed to lead a woman. It's not tell her what to do and you belong in the kitchen. That's not what I'm saying. But just like you have to lead your employees, you have to lead your kids, you have to lead your wife too. You have to, and a lot of times, sounds like you had the same problem I did. My stepdad didn't do a good job of leading my mom. You know what I mean? It sounds like you had a lot of the same, therefore allowing my mom to be a woman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just natural for them, right?
Yeah.
I always say that like a woman, her emotions and her mind works like like the old box of cables that you pull out. All of it's touching each other and wound together. You try to pull it apart. Whereas a man, his mind and emotions work like a tackle box. I can still think a deer is beautiful and I have no problem cutting its throat. You know what I mean? I can think a 5-pound bass is one of the most beautiful species God ever ate, and then I can put a knife in it and eat it. I can put those emotions into. Women generally can't. It's the way God wired us. It's that yin and yang balance that we have. But if we allow the woman, this is why you see relationships where the woman wears the pants, and you're like, the whole dynamic of the relationship's off because that's not God's design.
Yeah, you just made me think of another story. This will be I'll tell you this story, and then I'm going to ask you one last question, then we'll wrap up. But that same exact thing just happened, actually, with my wife. I love my wife. She's amazing. One thing I love about her is, honestly, she's pretty brutal. She's a Hispanic. She's very honest, very truthful, and I need it. I need somebody who's going to be honest, who's going to be real with me, like, because I mess up too, dude. Like, sometimes my ego gets out of freaking place. Like, I need somebody to actually be honest with me. And one quote I actually just shared on social media today that I really liked is, everyone hates a liar, but try being the person that tells the truth. And it's like, dang, yeah, try being that guy. But the story that just happened recently, we had a big disagreement with her parents because grandparents think that they can kind of do whatever they want. We love our grandparents too, but anyway, we got this whole big disagreement.
They will spoil your kids.
Yeah, and it was a thing that we told them not to do, and then they did it, and then we just got in this big old discussion about it, and my wife could not separate. She's like, well, how do you expect me to feel? And they're like, well, we think you should feel grateful. She just started going, oh, grateful? What? You tell me how to feel now? I'm like, whoa. Calm down. I'm like, hey, we are grateful. We're grateful for you. We're grateful you love our daughter. We're grateful for that. And we also need you to respect our boundaries that we set. And that's the perfect example. She just went one way. I'm like, whoa. We can feel two emotions at the same time. I can feel grateful for what you did and set boundaries at the same exact time. But yeah, it's exactly like what you said. But I want to go into, this will be the last question. Where do you think the biggest opportunity in 2026 is in all realms? Is it social media? Like, I had so many people tell me like that I'm getting into coaching at the wrong time. It's like the worst time ever. But I'm like, for me, I don't even really care. As long as I help some people get wealthy, for me, it's worth it. Like the 21-year-old kid, dude, I changed the trajectory of his life. For me, it's a ripple effect. But I'm curious on your perspective. What's the biggest opportunity that you see in 2026?
Probably is the worst time to get into that, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people that have got, so I told you earlier, those who can't coach.
Yeah.
What have we seen a lot of influx of lately?
A lot of coaches, I guess?
Yeah. Because their fucking business isn't doing good.
Right.
So they think, here's what the average unseasoned coach thinks. Oh, I'll go start a coaching business and make hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars a year. Okay? Probably not. There is a 98% failure in that arena. Most people never make more than $5,000 a month. Okay? There's outliers like yourself and I, but for the most part, who you going to coach, bro? Your whole life's a fucking shambles, right? Like, that's most people. We see people when, especially in the real estate business, will say, like, business is slow, so they become coaches, thinking it'll supplement their income. Smart people, like myself, Tony, Grant, that are in the, and again, I'm not even a big in the coaching world, never really was. I've always kind of been a real estate dude, but I never looked at coaching as the thing to make money. I looked at it as the top of the funnel. Okay, so you look at Tony Robbins. I'll just, because him and Alex Hormozy were on the other day.
That was a good one.
Tony, he was talking about he's $12 billion or whatever the case may be. That's not from coaching. Listen, there's nobody making billions of dollars a year coaching anybody nowhere. Bain Capital consultants ain't doing $12 billion.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So that's kind of what people think. Oh, well, he made $12 billion coaching. No. He gets people into his arena And then he sells you his products and his health things and his machines and all of these things that are recurring things that you'll get a quote unquote addicted to because of supplements, just like I'm addicted to First Form. That's my brand that I've decided to align with. And so it's the same thing. Cardone, I will tell you, his companies, according to him, make $3 million or so a month is his coaching company. He's the biggest in the game. Okay? So there's your
cap.
There's your ceiling. $3 million a month.
Yep.
Cardone has 200 fucking people working for him and to do that. Okay. 10X Health Company. Okay. That is about $20 million a month. Okay. He raises regularly $100 million for his real estate stuff.
Yep.
But if he didn't have, this is the smart play, and I've experienced this because I've been doing it so long too. Is those guys 20 years ago that Grant sold coaching to that own dealerships that now have 5 or 6 franchises. Those are the perfect people now to invest in his real estate deals.
Yep.
And they trust them because they've been there forever. So yeah, in the original, Grant made all of his money events and selling stuff. But eventually you got to figure out how to make that top of funnel because like you and I most likely aren't going to get to $3 million a month. I've done $2 million in a month with an event. Grant will do $3 million a month with no events. He probably does more than that if he's throwing a 10X in there or whatever, right? The most I've ever done is $2 million in a month, and that was when we had 22, when you were there with David Goggins and stuff, right? That was that month, July of 22. And dude, like, none of us had the fucking capacity to keep working after that. Like, I couldn't have, it would take 200 people. And at that point, you look at it and you're like, your $3 million a month is really 50 to 100 grand a month after you pay your 200 fucking people anyway. So what's the point, right? So I say that because if I was you, hey, I'm going to coach people, and I think Pace Morby does the greatest job of this. I'm going to coach you. But really what I'm doing is coaching you to how to work for me and bring me more deals, bring me better deals. I'm going to loan you the money. I'm going to paper the deals up for you. I'm going to sell them. Whatever that is, that's where the real money's at. Same with me. It's like, most I've ever made in a month is $2 million over in the coaching world. And that's like, again, that's gross top line revenue, everybody coming in. Fuck, we do that with a few people, Cadillac over here at Closer Capital. You know what I mean? Like, but all of the people, so what we do at Closer Capital, like, hey, if you fund a loan with us, we'll give you Apex for free. Because now you're in the network, you're most likely to come back and get a loan from us twice a year. If we're loaning you 100 grand for a project, it's not the last project you're going to do. You know what I mean? You're going to do more projects, and as soon as you can get another one, you come right back to us, and we'll make money again together. I can't do that in coaching, right? Like if I coach, let's say I sell a $10,000 a year program, maybe I sell you an event ticket or some shit like that, but for the most part, that's your deal. Versus a loan, I might do 3 loans at 10 grand for you for a year. So looking at this, like you think, okay, I coach these people and that fulfills me and that gives me maybe a little ranch money, let's just say, and it fulfills me, right? And I get to give back and I'm raising up the next generation. All that feels amazing. But that's only top of funnel. Right? The small thinker goes, I'm going to make $1 million coaching. The smart thinker goes, I'm going to make millions of dollars come in and then use that for the bigger play over here.
So here's my whole thing. I'll just break it all down for you, and you can tell me if it's a good plan or not. Honestly, I'm following Pineda a lot because, like I said, he's been one of my good friends and stuff, but I also noticed, so I don't have a lot of personal debt, but I have a lot of debt that got me to where I am in the business, and I borrow a lot of money from people. So dude, it's freaking scary. Like when I'm flipping, we were up to 49 properties at the same time. I'm like, gosh, dang, this is scary. And I'm trying to step away and let Ryan, who you've been in contact with, run the company. And so I'm pulling away as we're like they're scaling this thing. Like, this is scary, dude, because like it's my reputation. And like, I'm the kind of person that if I borrow money, dude, I'm paying it back. And I don't care if my guys lost it or not, I'm paying you back. And so it scares the crap out of me.
That's a fucking curse, ain't it?
Yeah, it's
scary. It would be
scary.
so much easier to just let people get fucked, but sometimes we're the one that gets fucked.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I'll be the guy.
Responsible's tough, man.
Yeah, I've lost money on stuff, and the people never know.
No,
They'll
I don't
never
owe anybody nothing, and they don't know that I lost money either. Same shit.
They won't freaking know. And so I'm stepping away from it. So what I decide is, okay, instead of going more flipping, I'm going to switch to going more wholesaling. So we're going to go about 90% wholesale. We're going to cap it around 15 properties flipping at the same time. I'll feel a lot more comfortable. I'll help them scale it to the freaking moon from the outside as much as I can. So that's how we're switching this one. Then I'm thinking, okay, I'll start the coaching company, which will then... Guess what? Now I'm wholesaling. I'll give you guys the deals. I'll let you take the equity. I'm going to give you guys properties now because I have to have buyers for them. So then I'm going to do that. And then I didn't want to tell you this, but I'm going to tell you this. I am not going to take away from your pitching or anything like that. I want to make sure you make money at this event. So probably like I'm leaving the first, and I'm going to be gone for a month. And then after I come back, I'm planning on doing some hard money loans and stuff like that too, where I want to raise it. And then I was thinking, okay, well, if you're part of the community, I'll give you loans on the back end. But in the meantime, I'm thinking, dude, it's a no-brainer. Hey, you guys need capital. Freaking Ryan's your guy, and then I'll use that code to send them to you in the meantime.
I don't recommend using your own money.
No, I'm not going to use my own money.
Okay.
No. So what I'm thinking is all the money that I had from the other people, now they trust me. I've borrowed millions of dollars for 5-6 years and they've never lost a freaking penny, and I've always paid them back. So now what I'll do is I'll offer them the same rate that I've been offering them, and then now I'll arbitrage the money where I'll charge points, and I'm going to underwrite, and I'm wholesaling the deals. So now I'm going to make sure that they get a good deal, because I'm also going to be giving them the loan, which is going to be the protection, because I need to make sure they get a good deal, because if I ever have to take it back, I need to make sure that I didn't over leverage on it. So now they know that I'm doing them right, because I'm going to make sure they have equity. I'm going to make sure they got the loan set up. And then on the other side, I don't know if you know Eric Klein at all. He's with Andy Elliott now. He's a big wholesaler guy too from North Carolina. But we actually got a guy that used to work for him. He just hit me up and he's like, dude, I want to do marketing. And so then I'm thinking, I might as well run the same thing as Ryan, where I'll do your marketing too, because this guy's a freaking stud at marketing, and he's over in Pakistan. And so I'm thinking he'll just like build this whole thing to where we can fulfill every one of their needs. Now they got the deals, they got the money, and they got the education, and now they have the marketing. They should have everything they need. And I'm like, my background is sales, and so like I created some killer salespeople. So if they have all of that, I feel like we should have everything that they need to be successful and actually change their lives. And then we make a lot of money every which way. So we don't need to make money on any one of them, because we're going to make money the whole time building their whole financial future. So that was my plan and what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and you're probably end up making more money off all the transactions they do than the actual coaching.
Yeah.
You know? The other thing you can do is you can create a big ticket, like $50,000 buy-in, and you say, hey man, I take 30,000 of this 50, and we put it into the fund and loan against it to these guys on deals, and make sure, and you get to participate in the growth of that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So like as they're buying it, let's say they pay you $50,000 for a year's coaching, and it's like, yeah, you're really only paying me 20 because I'm gonna take 30 of that and put it in the deal, and hopefully we can flip it by the end of the year, so you might get 60 back on the 50 that you put in.
Okay. Yeah,
and you're going to be selling them all that other little shit because let's say at this part you got two levels: the guys that have invested with you, and now you're loaning it back to the mid-level guys, but you're still the underwriter on the deal, so you can't get stuck out or whatever. You're going to end up making a good amount of money. Like you won't have to charge. Let's say you charge those guys $1,000 a month. You charge those dudes 50 G's a year. They know that they're at least getting 40 of the 50 back. You know what I mean? Because the 30 is still tied up. That also, the end of the year, you're like, if you've done a good job, you're like, hey, man, you want to roll that 30 over into the next one? All you owe me is 20.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Yeah, I've seen Ryan do one-on-one coaching, and he charges $100,000, and I'm like, dude, I don't know if I do want to do one-on-one, because I also, very similar to you, I don't want to give up my life either. And like I do, if I take money from anybody, I feel like it's my responsibility to make sure that they get an ROI, which I know it's a mutual thing and they have to put in the work, and I'm gonna have to be okay with that, which is very difficult. But if somebody gives me $100,000, dude, I feel like I owe them a lot. I feel like I'm gonna make sure that you make an ROI on that, and so I don't even want the weight of what I know it's going to take from me in order to give that. So I'm like, dude, I'd rather not even freaking take one-on-one. I don't know if you felt that at all, where you're like, I don't even like one-on-one because you feel obligated to the person, or do you like group, or?
Man, I did that for a few years. It's probably been 2-3 years since I've taken a one-on-one client, but I was charging $150,000 a year. And I probably had 10 or 12 dudes that did it, and they're all still my friends. Matter of fact, one of them was with me last week. But these were guys that were already worth tens of millions of bucks, so my little $100,000 wasn't nothing. You know what I mean? And they were looking for something very specific. They already had successful businesses. They needed help on branding and social media type of stuff. So if it wasn't that, I wouldn't just take, like, this guy hits me up and he just inherited money from, his mother died or whatever, and he inherited, hey, I want to invest $150 to be coached by you. Like, bro, that's the worst thing that you could do. You know what I mean? Like, that's,
you can't get an ROI they need.
You're not going to be able to. You've never touched $100,000, and now the first time you want to give it to me, that's already showing red flags. You know what I mean? So So I didn't like that. Now what I do is I set aside 4 days a month for a half-day session with me. So I take 4 people in a month and do a half-day session with them. So I'm only charging $5,000, 4 hours. And but I'm very picky about who I take in because I'm really looking for people I can build relationships with, right? Like I'll help you get your thing, but like what's going to be the benefit for me on the back end of this too? Because used to I had to sell Apex everywhere. Now I can just loan people money and make the money, so it's much easier for used to I charge, like when I went and spoke at Andy Elliott's was the last big event that I spoke at, I charged the guy $50,000 to show up there. I can come here for you guys just paying my travel because there I can't sell Apex because Andy's selling his stuff, so I can't step on his pockets here. You need these guys to have money so that they can do more deals with y'all. So it's a win-win situation for everybody, really.
Yep, that's what I'm always looking for, man. To make sure that everybody's getting paid, they get value, you get value, we get value. That's the kind of relationships I want.
And honestly, for $100,000, for me, I'm the type of person that I'll go to an event, and then I'll hear one of the guys say something. I was like, oh, that's what I was here for, and I'm out. You know what I mean? Like, I paid Patrick Bet-David $50,000 to coach me for a year. I probably went to 3 meetings, and I got enough that I thought $50,000 was there, and I'm like, I'm not going to. It was group, and there was a lot of other rookies in there too, so it wasn't the best fit for me. But I got I got my $50,000 worth. I'll go and turn what he said into $50,000, and I'm out. So I think the whole 6 figures for a year. For my personality type, it doesn't work out on the giving or receiving because I got ADD and I'm not interested in somebody for that long.
100%. Yep. Cool, man. Well, that's all I got. I know you got to get to Eden. I'm excited to go on the stage and everything with you.
Yeah, man. I think we went a little longer than we thought, but it's probably
all
the lights are off outside and shit.
Yeah, everybody's like, all right, we're shutting down.